Okay. Hassan, do you want to start with the
Can be.
introductions? Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you everyone for being here. I'm Nelson Rodrigues, UX engineer and Mediaweb founder. Have been working in creating digital experiences from the last 19 years at Mediaweb, since small websites, more enterprise things, local systems using out systems, and more recently AI systems with agentic AI, chatbots, etc. So I'm happy to be here to share some knowledge or some things that I learned with you.
Nice. And my name is Ricardo Luiz, and I'm the AI and product strategy lead here at Mediaweb. Joined recently because had a few chats about AI and UX and the opportunities that we saw in the market, especially around how confusing this is going to be for people that want to develop AI solutions, but then don't know exactly where to begin, what is the real one. So, and having in mind my experience in the last 20 years, that was around UX and product, and now more recently in AI. I like to say that I was doing AI before it was cool back in 2017, so it's fine. And that's
A
it. I'm
different
super
kind of
excited.
AI that time.
Uh, Yeah, mostly ML. But I do remember that day in late 2017 when my guys started to be super excited and talking about Transformers, and I was like, Transformers, what is that? And then we understood a bit more what Transformers were, and then the team was super excited to try Transformers, and they were saying, "Oh man, this is gonna be a game changer," but then it's only gonna be mainstream in 2030. Now, okay, and now we have Transformers in GPTs all over the place. So,
Mhm.
and it's not 2030 yet. So it's cool. Okay, so what brought us here today? As I was saying, basically the challenge that we saw in the market was that most companies, most departments are really pressured with all of this AI hype, and they are trying to implement AI just for the sake of AI. Sometimes they don't know exactly why, they don't know exactly what type of solution would be best for them. They just want to run and show the board that they are doing something, or they want to show the market that they are doing something with AI, because now having the AI stamp is really, really cool. So we'll see. Okay. And what we want to do is exactly the opposite. So we want to provide guidance and help um, for the market, and especially for our customers, to say there is a way that we can identify what are the missed opportunities, the needs and the pains, and then to map out if it makes sense to implement something that regards AI, or if what you need is something a bit more simple, like an automation, or just redesigning an experience because you have just a spaghetti experience all over the place with a lot of clicks that are not needed, and now you can streamline that. Why this is important? Because we started to see this a few months ago, and now we got to see the reports that are confirming this trend, which is most AI projects fail. And when we say most, we are talking about 80 to 85% of the projects tend to fail because they were made with a technology first mindset. What does it mean? It means that companies developed solutions without involving the needs, without involving people that are actually working with those tools in the future. So what happened was that we fell in love with the solution, we started to do something, and then we got surprised because people were not interested in using those tools. So why did that happen? The first thing that usually goes wrong is this communication in between what it is that we have as a needs in the company, what it is that we have in the process that really needs to change, and the people that are driving initiatives and driving that forward. I'm hearing a lot of background noise. I don't know. Is
Uh,
it you,
I'm not
Nelson?
not hearing. No, not hearing. I can mute myself.
Okay. No, just I think it ended. Yeah, some interference. David was hearing it as well. Okay, not hearing it anymore. Okay, let's go. So communication is definitely number one, and then this happens, which is we develop something shiny. It is the thing that everyone is falling in love because there's this new technology that we really want to try, and we fell in love by the solution, but we forget that okay, is there a problem that this solution is trying to solve? Is there a problem that meets this? Is there a demand for this that we just built? And most of the times the answer is no. Right? So this picture represents exactly that, the solution looking for a problem, which means that we developed something we didn't have in mind, the needs, the missed opportunities, anything. We just went and developed some solution, some AI solution, some text solution, and we forgot that people should be involved in this one. So just because we have the technology available doesn't mean that we have to use that technology. Okay? So this happens when we have this technology first mindset instead of having the mindset to solve problems first. And when we have this mindset of solving problems first, we don't do this, right? We don't ignore that experienced people should be involved from the beginning when we are trying to tackle, when we are trying to build something, when we are trying to make something that is going to change the process, the technology, the way that we interact with the system. Okay? So really ignoring UX, it becomes really, really expensive, and we have a lot of studies that show this. Usually, the cost of ignoring UX early on in the product or in the project process, it's 100 times more expensive than later on if you're trying to fix after you develop the product and if you have done it in the beginning. So I really like to give this reference, which is Alan Cooper's "The Inmates Are Running the Asylum," which is kind of becoming a classic already because it's almost 25 years or 26 years already in the making. So early on, we started to understand, and this was during the dot-com bubble, so you can imagine the timing was perfect. We started to understand that building technology for the sake of technology was not always the best solution because if you didn't have adoption, if you didn't have the people that would adapt and use your technology, you would go into a very bad place. Okay, so most people know that engineers fell in love with those solutions, and the best way not to achieve that, not to do that, is to get people involved from the early stages. We are going to talk a little bit about the product trios, which is having designers, developers, and product or project people working together to make from the beginning to make sure that we all have this understanding of the business context, of the limitations of the technology, and the opportunities in terms of experience. Right? So the challenge for us was, okay, so we know all this. We have all of this experience. So Mediaweb has been around for almost 17 years. We all have a lot of experience. What happens if we want to build good AI? Okay? And thinking really hard about this, we understood that maybe this is not the question that we want to ask. The real question is, which is a more broader question than this, is how to build great tech that is useful for people. Okay, because that's what we are talking about. When we develop some new technology, it should be aiming to solve something that was a need in the market. Right? To solve something that we were not able to do before and now we are going to be able to do just because that technology exists. The best way to do this is to very smartly understand the people that are going to use this technology. So it's not necessarily that we always need to go after what people say. That's not what we are talking about, okay? And we all know that Henry Ford quote that if you ask people what they wanted faster horses, they didn't want cars. And then that revolution only happened because we have to have this translation layer in between what people say that they need, to understand the needs and what's underneath the surface, so we understand, okay, what is driving that need. That need, okay, because they want to get something faster, they want to go somewhere faster, they need a bit more transportation capability. So if there's something else then rather than horses or I don't know, cows or something else, or a mule to do this, maybe that's a better solution. And then we need to introduce the technology, and we know that there's like this technology adaptation cycle, and then we have always the early adopters. Okay, and that's the same principle that we are going to use in our solutions, because we need champions. We need people that are going to be the first ones to embrace this new technology, and that they will be users. They will understand the potentials. They also pinpoint what pitfalls there may be, bugs, errors, mistakes, potential to improvement, and all of that, and we'll use that. And Nelson, talking about this problem and solution, double diamond that we know so well, um, what are your thoughts about involving developers at this early stage when we are actually doing the discovery?
Yeah, that actually is very important, not in traditional development, but now with AI. Um, like if you are developing something and if you are a designer, you probably don't know all of the details about the technology behind the AI systems. So you really need to bring people with with that knowledge, and we need to talk with them to understand what possibilities exist. Okay, you have a problem to solve, and is that you were focused until now. We want first to identify the problem, but now that we have a problem, how can we solve it in a better way? If I try to solve it by myself by using a good design,
Mhm.
but if I don't have the help from other people that might help me, give him some tweaks about some kind of automations that I can do, I will probably end up by making a very optimized interface. But it still have all of the fields that are necessary for the user to
Yeah.
fill. Uh, so yeah,
You
it's very
optimize
it's,
you optimize for what you know, not for what you are able to do
mm-hmm,
with the current technology. I love that.
yeah.
Yeah, and for me, it's all about the context. What I've been experimenting for the last 20 years with the teams is that every time we involve everyone at the beginning, and we at least we give the context, and everyone is aware of what are the goals, what are the constraints, what are the business opportunities that we are trying to explore with a given project. What we see every single time is that this gives a lot of more proactivity feel in the team. It means that
Mm-hmm,
people do get more creative and more assertive as well, to say, oh, okay, there's something that we can do in 2 weeks, there's something that we can do in 6 months, there's something that we do in a year to achieve that goal. So we can cheat a little bit at the beginning, and we do a little bit of manual work in the backstage to make sure that this works, while we
mm-hmm,
build the right pipeline in the back stage, the right back end to support this. But this is just to highlight how we work, which is we think about the problem first. We define the problem first, and I'll show you how we do this, and then we talk about the solution. So I'm going to be focused more on the problem side of things, and then Nelson will step in
mm-hmm.
with his authority to talk about the solutions, and we'll do this double diamond
Yeah.
as Siamese twins, and we'll be connected at the joint, which is the problem that we want to solve. But we also have this in mind. And this is a little bit of what Nelson was talking, which is when we are developing something, regardless if it's AI or not, okay? But today we are talking about specifically to design AI solutions. We need to think about this Venn diagram of the intersection in between desirability, viability, and feasibility. What
Mm-hmm.
does that mean? We start by desirability. Is there a need in the market? Are people complaining? Are people frustrated about something? Okay. Is there something in your company that is not working right, or that generates a lot of frustration? Because when people do have to do it, it's painful, it's complex, there's a lot of mistakes, people lose a lot of time. Maybe it doesn't save as it should, and they missed and they lost and they lose work. and all of those. So desirability is always the point that you want to start from.
Mhm.
And basically, if we translate this into startups or whatever field, is like, is there a market for your idea? Is there a need that is screaming out from the market that you should be addressing? This is desirability. And then we have to think about the other side, which Nelson represents in this call, which is feasibility. Okay?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
this is the intersection in between the design, the development, and the business side. And then feasibility is that, can we design this? Can we think about the right experience for this? But also, on Nelson's side,
Yeah,
is
making sure that you have the technology for that. You want to design something, but sometimes, and the most of these things is really recent. So you might want to design something, but we need to make a proof of concept
Mhm.
fast to validate if that works or not. Because I don't know if you want to create a kind of automate a kind of a task that needs some model to execute a task. We need to test how well the model can do that test to validate. And of course, there are things that are easy things that we can understand that it will be able to do it right, but there are others that is not really easy to just say yes, it will work. Maybe you need to make a little proof of concept to validate, and then go further with that solution.
yeah. And then we have the last piece of the puzzle, which is the viability. So there's a need in the market. So someone is screaming out for something. There's a frustration or there's a wish to have something. Then we assess it, and from the experience, from the technology side, it is feasible. And then we have to understand it if it makes sense to build that. Because most times it's not just because we can build it that we should build it. So,
Mhm.
and this is where viability comes in, which is, should we actually build this thing? And we have to assess who is going to support it, how much are we going to spend in supporting it,
Mhm.
maintaining it, hosting it. Uh, if we are talking into either a B2C or a B2B product, is that um, what we are going to charge people is going to be enough to make it a business case for us? Is it sound for our business to actually build and add these features because we are going to add more customers, avoid churn, something like that?
Mhm.
Then it's viable. Okay. Internally, if we are saving people's time, if we are avoiding that, okay, people also leave the company because we have crappy solutions, maybe that's worthwhile. Okay. So viability, it's almost a last sanity check that we have in this
Mhm.
equation to make sure that we have that famous slap in the face to say, is this something that is going to be worth developing? Because, okay, there's a need for it. We can actually do it. Should we do it? Okay.
Mhm.
And when the intersection of all these three is combined and we see, okay, no,
Mhm.
there's high need for this. We can actually do this, even if it's a complex thing that we can crack. And then it's viable because when we do this, we are going to save time, we are going to save clicks, we are going to save money, or we are
Mhm.
going to earn more money because of it. And this is
Yeah,
where
and
this equation comes in. Yeah, go ahead.
now with AI, there is one more variable that is in terms of cost. We need to consider if you will be using a model, paid model, and most of the times it is the case. We need to consider also that cost, because until now we needed to consider the infrastructure cost, but the infrastructure costs might be very low comparing to AI costs, depending on the quantity of usage or the complexity of that tasks. So is also like if we need to spend like 50 cents for a complex tax to be executed, sometimes it might make sense to do it because it saves some hours of work. So it's okay, but others maybe not.
Yeah, totally. So, how do we apply all of this when we are trying to assess if it's something that is viable, feasible? Why is this important? Okay. So, let me go over our framework, the framework that we really want to talk about today, which is our three-stage UX-driven AI framework. And this is used to make sure that we diagnose the need. So, in terms of desirability, we cover all the spots and we understand even the viability from that standpoint. And we cover those two by doing this early diagnose. We understand the business case, we understand the need in the market, we understand the viability of it, and only then, when we see that yes, those two are there highly, strongly, and we can see them, and even we assess a little bit the feasibility side, not in terms of the end solution, but is there something that we can see that is possible to implement with the given technology that we know or that we have available, and then we can kind of research a little bit and we know that we can crack it. The diagnose part is to assess this. If it's okay, if we know, and then we know exactly what we want to do. We understand the requirements, we understand the jobs to be done that we want to do moving forward. Then we move to the prototyping stage, okay? And this prototyping, especially now, it's a big fusion in between design and development because we really need to understand what are the AI capabilities out there, and then we need to intersect those capabilities with the experience. So what should we be servicing people with this new layer of technology that we have that we call AI? And one discussion that Nelson and I have been having in all of the conference that we've been invited as either hosts or guests to speak in is always, but what happened? What will happen in the future? And we
Mhm.
have this very strong argument that we've really felt very strongly about, which is the user interface is going to change dramatically in the next 2 to 3 to 5 years. Because
Mhm.
there's no way that we are going to have AI capabilities and still have the same ways to interact with an interface in the future.
Mhm.
Nelson,
Yeah,
what?
and even if you interact same way with interface, like meaning you have an interface, maybe the interface will be very different. Like is a as you're saying, one of the things that we have been talking is that like okay, AI brings the possibility to kind of automate a part of the system. So we can, if we start automating things, the interface will have the flows in the interface will reduce to be just validation or to be just the really necessary things or to give some feedback. We even making a paradigm with the iceberg, like the button part of the iceberg is increasing and increasing and increasing, while the visible
Active.
part is being reduced. And for example, the chatbots already show a little bit of that. Like the chatbot is having more and more capabilities. It's not just to respond to something, but the chatbot can navigate the internet for you, can be connected to tools, can be connected to a lot of different external things that make execute something in your name. So you don't need to go to that places. You are just in a conversational interface. Conversational that can be even by voice, by talking.
And we do this incrementally. So every single bit that we are talking about, that's why we call it prototyping. It's not that necessarily it's just UI as you start to understand by hearing me and Nelson talk. So we go way beyond UX UI. We go into the tech side as well. And what we say is that prototyping needs to be a thing, especially now that we have ways of experimenting a lot faster than we had before.
Mm-hmm.
We can actually build working prototypes to validate an interaction, to validate an experience, to validate an idea, and say, is this something that makes sense? We have people toying a little bit, working a little bit with it. We understand yes, and now, okay, let's plan how we build this into a more
Mm-hmm.
consistent, coherent part of the system, and how we integrate it with the remaining part of the tools that we already have.
Exactly.
So that's the
Exactly.
build part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and as you're saying, actually, AI is helping also in the prototyping because the vibe coding, the AI tools that exist to create systems, it also accelerates. Sometimes not to create production ready systems, but to create prototypes to validate the concept. It's
Mhm.
perfect. You will remember just yesterday we were planning, like we have an event in 1 month and we wanted to make a kind of an activation a little app to interact with the users during that event. And the marketing, our Sandra, our marketing girl, was talking with us if it's possible, if you can do it, if you have time for next month. But I tried, like we tried some AI systems, and during the call we could make it work. It was not for that. Like, so we have an event next week, so we will use it next week, not just in the
Next
other.
month. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the possibility. But again, these are incrementally things that we can test, and those are experiments. And then we need to solidify, make it more solid. So that's why we have the build part here to make sure that we understand that experimentation and building those prototypes is one thing, making them heavily production ready, it's another one. And that's something that
Mhm.
is a different stage in the process. So if we look at the first one, if we look at the problem space, and if we look at the diagnose, the three main things that we are focused on is to understand the business and cover opportunities, because we are not just focused on mitigating pains and going after the needs. We are cheeky in that aspect because we really want to understand if there's something that the company, the client never thought about, and that might be a missed opportunity. Because right now, and again, this is a mindset kind of thing, and we feel the need to be the evangelization people that we say, okay, you are thinking about the system as it is today, with the limitations that there are today. If we go broader, if we go one step further, if we do a bird's eye view and understand, okay, is there something that we are missing because we had the restraints in the past not to have systems communicating with each other? It was hard. But nowadays, you can build APIs, you can build middleware to have endpoints, to have communications in between several applications. And Nelson, I'm sure, is going to speak about the MCP servers
Mhm.
later on.
Mhm.
And all of this open, not just a can of worms, but more than that, in a positive side, it opens truly a wide range of opportunities that we could never explore. And I'm talking about 9 months ago, a year ago. And right now we can. Okay. And then it's just aligning if this is something that is valuable. Because again, we are not shoving AI in anyone's throat. We are making sure that AI is a solution for you. Okay. If it's not, we are going to be the first ones to diagnose that and say, you know what, for your case, for your use case, for your users, it doesn't make sense. Okay. It's just a revamp of experience, or there's nothing else you can do because your system is fine. It's just probably training education that is going to be needed. But if we do find that there's an opportunity, we'll tailor exactly what it is that opportunity going to look like, and then what type of technology should be used, and then we'll experiment because we'll probably don't have the right answer at the beginning and we'll be iterating. So
Mhm.
having a little bit more granularity on this, how do we begin, right? And we begin by doing the same things as we did like 10, 15, 20 years ago. If we are developing things for people, even if we use AI tools to do proto personas, to speed up things, there's nothing like talking to people and watching people interacting in real life. Because if we understand the constraints, the context in which people work, then we can go back to our desk and say, okay, we have this, we have observed this, we have these recordings. Now we can use AI tools to go over the videos and actually highlight something that I missed because I was taking notes and. So there's a lot of stuff that the AI tools are really great to help, especially on the UX side of things. But it should always stem from talking to people to understand how people actually work. Even if we started by having an AI tool giving us proto personas, giving us some indications of what the topics could be and whatnot, talk to people. Okay? That's rule number one. And we've seen it over and over every single time that we take the risk of not talking to the actual customers of our clients, we end up not in a good place. I'm not going to say the word, but it's not it's always never a good experience because We go in groups of iterations, one, two, three, four, because we didn't go to the source. We didn't understand what the pain was or how much pain they were feeling with a given part of the system. And with that, we also miss the opportunities because people will talk. And when you start asking questions about how they interact, what are the jobs to be done, so what are the things that they are doing, they will talk about them. And the funny thing is that there's this funny rule in qualitative analysis, which is after 5 people, you find out nearly 90% of the things that you will find, even if you talk with 100 people. So it's very easy and it's not super expensive to actually talk with 5 different people that will represent your customer base, and you'll find most of the stuff that you have to find. Okay, so stakeholder interviews and alignment workshops. So picking people's brains, letting them talk in their own language, so they don't have to be designers, they don't have to be business analysts. Let them interact, let them showcase in whatever language they are more comfortable. Maybe it's just writing, maybe it's just doing some ref drawings, whatever, so you can understand their pain. Okay, and then scratch the surface, ask the whys behind those representations, and then it's our turn, right? As I said, one of the biggest jobs that we have as UX, UI people and product people is to be the right translators. Because people will say a lot of stuff, people will throw at you a lot of complaints, a lot of pains, a lot of needs. And what you need to do is to structure those things and understand where they come from. Okay? And try to organize what are the journeys that we are talking about. So how do people interact with these systems? Because let me tell you, as soon as you start doing this, you immediately see what's wrong. Okay? And we have this very recent project that we worked on that together with one of our people at Mediaweb, we were baffled because we started to diagnose and to go over some flows in just a part of experience for one of our clients, and we found that we had to go over 100 and something different screens. And we were, okay, this is insane because people are just trying to fulfill like 2 steps or 3 steps out of a 7 step process, and they have to go over 100 and something screens doing maybe 200 or more clicks. Wow. Okay. And one of the complaints that they got from their customers or their clients was, this is too complex. And we were like, okay, no wonder, because 200 clicks, 100 screens, it's too much. So, and this is because we started to map out. And then it was very visible for us. It was super visible for the customers, and it was super visible for everyone that, okay, this bit is the most complex, is the most confusing one, so let's start by solving this and then we can move to the other ones. But then we had the right plan. We had the super focus, like goal mandate to fix that part of the system, and then we would go to the other parts. Okay, so having those maps done, having these flows being mapped out, really helps to understand the complexity and what we are dealing with. So,
Just to complement you
yeah, yeah,
into things,
yeah.
that two parts, and the fun thing about the last one, that that part is really important. And as uh, now that is more easy to use also AI, as I was mentioned, to create the software itself. Um, and I believe it will
I totally
evolve
agree.
even much more than this. Like it will be easier and easier and easier soon, and actually now is already possible for production maybe not, but it will be possible soon to create an application without knowing how to code and put it live. So the ones that will be the best ones will be the ones that really solve problems. So if everyone can create software, the ones that will go deep in the functionalities or to go deep in the problems, talk with people and do the process that Ricardo has mentioned here, will be the ones that know what need to be created instead of just creating things randomly or more or less thinking what you think the users need, and then it's not really that the the thing. The funny thing that I was saying is that in that case, the was not necessarily even AI to reduce. the 100 screens to 40 was 40
Hmm.
that reduced. Probably AI could help us even streamlining more the process, and it might be a second round on that.
Yeah, I'm sure. And again, as Nelson was saying, the solution that we end up developing for this customer had, I think, a little bit of automation, but it was just a tiny bit. Everything else was just redesigning, actually, restructuring
Mm-hmm.
the objects and the way that people interacted with the system. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So one one other thing that we have to understand is then to make sure we highlight all of these pain points to do two things. One is to make sure we come up with a plan. So that plan needs to stem from, okay, we've done this, we've translated this, and now we have understood that these are the priorities, these are the things that we really need to tackle, and then you can prioritize them with your customer. So this way of also identifying and mapping out the result of this analysis is one of the starting points for you to start building up your plan or your roadmap to start thinking about implementation. So from going to this final solution, so to the sorry, from the the problem to the solution. And it's never too much to say involve people, okay? Involve the right people. You have to talk with people, you have to interact with people, you have to make sure that people validate the prototypes, that they have a chance to interact with the prototype so you understand if what you've done not only makes your paying customer, your sponsor happy, but it's going also to be something that people will really like to use. Okay, and this is big because if you're doing a project, if you're building a product, but then no one uses it or it's super hard to use, then you didn't do a great service. Okay, it's not just a matter of if you got paid or not to do it, but probably you didn't develop something that you're going to be proud of because people are not going to use it. Okay. So be careful with this. When you fell in love with a solution, when you fell in love with something, it can be a technical, a visual solution, whatever. Do validate it first. Okay, validate the concept even before you build, or just prototype it in a very interactive way, and then you can have a plan to diagnose this. And so this is something that we've been talking about in the last few weeks, which is we do this in a very manual way. We have the tools to do it. Internally, we know how to do this, how to approach it, and then we can customize this to because each customer has its own reality, has its own context, comes from a different vertical. We can adapt it, right? So what we've developed, and this is something that we are going to share together with probably the recording of the webinar. And one of the questions that we got asked a lot is that, okay, but how do you diagnose by basically? And of course that we are not going to say how do we do everything, okay? But it's how can we provide a tool for anyone to look at their business, look at their process and say, is this something that I need to change or not? Okay? Is this something that is going to be worthwhile to invest? And then make sure that we either develop a new solution, introduce AI, enhance with AI, whatever. So we built this new diagnose checklist, and we build this scale and this matrix to enable people to understand if they really need to change or not. Okay, so the way we built this was around the feasibility, desirability, and viability. And we ask a few questions, and we'll share the PDF with all the questions, with all the rationale there. So it's like an 11, 12 page document with all the detail. And then also the checklist that you can go through. So it's a workbook in that sense that you can actually use to see and to assess your solution. And then answering those questions. And just by looking at those questions, you'll understand, okay, have I done my homework or not? Am I skipping steps or not? Am I trying to do a quantum leap and then going back afterwards because probably I didn't get the right thing done because I didn't do the right diagnosis. As Nelson was saying, it's super important today to do the homework beforehand really well, because then you can jump into solution mode and it's just experimentation and you have. But if you don't have the right specs, if you don't have the right context in mind, if you don't understand what the solution should look like, then you are going into a bad direction. So, and this is a conversation that I used to have at OutSystems back in the day. So like 10 years ago, we were talking that, oh, these no code, low code tools help people doing things really fast, and a lot of them. So if people have the bad idea, they will do bad stuff really quick. So that's what something that we want to avoid. And this matrix that we developed can be a principle that will help you to go over the checklist and say, okay, this is something that we need to do or not. And we'll soon develop a simulator, a calculator to help everyone just answering a few questions about your business and understanding if you have a high opportunity score or if you have a low opportunity score, and then you shouldn't do anything about it. But if you have a medium opportunity score, then you should think, okay, maybe I need help to diagnose this pair, but I also see the opportunity here, or I have a glimpse of what the opportunity could be. If it's a high score, it means that you've done your homework, you've identified, you've pinpointed an opportunity, something that you really need to solve, and then you just need help to kind of provide you with the solution, provide you with the right technology implementation. Okay, but this is something that we will introduce in the next few days, which is our diagnose and the project readiness score that will help you to understand if you have this readiness in place or not. Okay,
Mhm.
so we don't want to take our jobs, but we are saying that we are going to provide a tool that will enable even for you to reach out to us and have a better conversation with us saying, oh, I've done the diagnose and now I understand better what I should be doing or what I should be asking you or what I need your help with. And then if you don't need this or if you just want to apply this, it's something that we are going to provide to the community for you to do this, because we really want to prevent people from doing this, from being part of basically the 80-85% of projects that fail because they don't understand why they even started in the first place. But enough about me. So just a quick recap of the diagnose. Again, the goals are understand the business, because we really want to have that context to understand the viability of things and the feasibility, uncover opportunities. We want to be smart. Okay, we don't want just to answer the needs and the pains that people are screaming about. If there's something that is really smart that can kind of overcome all of those needs and pains by doing something radically different that will change the interaction, then we are all about it. And if it makes sense, then we will explore which type of AI tools, and Nelson will go over a little bit about that. So going through all the flavors of the month in terms of AI, because AI is a lot of stuff, and we'll see it. And as soon as we do the diagnose, we should be ready to have this idea, what is the problem that we are trying to solve, so we can start brainstorming, sketching, prototyping, doing quick iterations on the solution side. So I hand it over to you, Nelson, to talk about the magic.
Okay, that's yeah. Maybe you can continue sharing. We
Yeah.
don't need to change. Um, yeah. So here the solution we actually bring um, a real scenario, so like an example of a real work that we have been done. Is a project still in progress, so we are not we are not showing exactly the client and things like that. But is a good case because it was request that we really didn't know if it was possible or not to find a good solution or how to find a good solution. So we were really forced to prototype fast to make the more than just starting making the design. We directly need to go with the technical team, validate situations, align with the goal of the client, without designing nothing. Actually, yeah, I think we went directly, Ricardo, to testing mode, to prototype mode, because the interface and like the objective was to there was a HR application or recruitment application, and it have lots of functionalities. And the objective was to have kind of a chatbot, but not a chatbot to ask questions. A chatbot that could be the main point of interaction in the system. So you could go to open a chatbot, and chatbot will give you directly context, like you have this task to do, and you didn't complete this thing, and then you could ask things, and the chatbot could guide you or could execute the tasks in two different ways. Chatbot could, and here was the thing that the client require, but probably didn't is not a good solution. Is that the one of the ideas at the beginning was to have a system that the chat will navigate through the actual system. So we'll ask something, and the chat will navigate through the system and perform the actions. To do that, we made and actually I think you can. You are in the solution. Yeah, here was the. So about this slide is what I was thinking about: explore experience, explore options, align with the team, trying to understand. And so the first, we tried to make a first use case where we could even find some libraries that could have a chatbot that could interpret, could validate what exists in the screen, and then understand what exists, make choices, plan an action, and navigate through the system. Maybe you can show that first case.
Okay, so
Yeah, and I think we have a video that will take a long time. So, and because the objective was for this chatbot to interact with multiple systems, this was done as a plugin browser. Is not part of the interface. It's a plugin browser because it can work with a lot of different applications. So we could just make a quick test just using our own website, and I ask it what is the UX-driven AI service. But because the AI can navigate, but needs to go through the page to understand the content and then navigate, it is really slow, and sometimes doesn't take the most direct path. For example, this is in our service pages, but for some reason the AI choose to go to the about page. In the about page, there is nothing about AI-driven UX-driven AI, so it search again. It probably decide then to go to the services, and then in the services find the service, go to the detail, and then give me a result. This will take some more minutes to complete the task, but we directly understood that we cannot try to validate the interface. It will just be too slow. The user can perform this task much faster than the AI. This kind of integration need to be more profound or more direct. The AI should not be guessing or trying to understand what is there. So this option was not an option. So now we get to the page, and actually the video is in the middle. I'm saying no. It probably took still a lot of time because it's planning trying to validate if should navigate or not through some place. So then we made a quick test with other solution. And by the way, we did all of these tests in about 1 week half.
probably.
So we did that one. We did this. Of course, we tried to, and it was one of the things, like search for available tools, available systems, available code. Like if you try to create all of this from the scratch, it will probably took months to make a AI plugin that can interpret the interface, navigate through it. So search for available open source tools or even paid that you can use. So the second use case is to so that was an objective. The other objective is okay. The chat will not navigate through the interface, but will return pieces of UI. What I mean about this, like I want to book some holidays, or I want to see my holidays. Okay, the chat can just return, but I want to book some holidays. The chatbot could return a form where I could choose the first day and the last day of the holidays and then submit. But by being, if this chat returned this interface, I don't need to go through the menus to that system or even to other system, because I might be in the context of an application and the holidays HR system might be in another place. So the AI could connect to the different places. Maybe later I will talk a little bit how, and could perform that kind of tasks. And for this one, yeah, you can. For this one, it was about interface, and this is one of the main things that we have really experienced is about creating interfaces. So we could find a really nice solution where we have an interface and just asking some questions about this kind of table. Then we have charts that are generated inside the chat that returns the data from the interface. And then the third use case was about executing things in the background. So the first use case was navigating through the interface. The second was to return pieces of interfaces inside the chat. And the third is to execute things in the background, perform something, and then return. Can return also a piece of interface or just the result of it. And for that, this was a project in OutSystems. So to implement these kind of things, we also needed to make it possible to be integrated with OutSystems. And in this case, the MCP server really helped to implement this faster, because we just create a MCP server in OutSystems with a bunch of actions, so a bunch of different kinds of MCP servers to access to different kind of informations, and then the AI having we connect that to the AI, and then the AI can choose when to call that MCP server to get information, and then you saw it in the video, also use charts or use interface to show the data instead of just showing pieces of text. So what we learn about these three use cases. The first one, we will still have something about that use case about navigating through the interface, but it will be about straight links. Like we will give context to the AI about what pages exist, what is the link of each one of that pages, and then the AI will choose to go directly to navigate directly to that pages instead of going through the interface. The second, we were actually reading the interface very fast, but we were using some kind of technology that it make it possible, but we need to change the entire application to apply components between the application to make the AI understand the interface. So it's valid, but might be a lot of cost involved. So that one, for example, now is from the client side validating if worth to invest on that. The third one, the third one with the AI, with the UI elements, for now is the fastest one to implement. It is the one that we are testing and making more kind of requests available, because it's very fast to allow more or to create more endpoints in the MCP server, and in the interface we can just put more elements of UI, and then the AI choose when called the MCP server and when called to the right AI, UI elements to show the information. And so, but I talk here about a bunch of names that might be confused. So I wanted to go back a little bit to the source of the things and try to clarify a little bit these names and these ways of using AI. This is very important in our process, or in your process, because as we talked before, we need to have multidisciplinary people in the team, and it's very important to have someone that have knowledge about all of these concepts, and then that person will help understand which how you should use AI and in the right tools. And so what is the difference I put here between agentic AI, large language models, and RAGs, tool augmented? And actually, in the three things that I said, I probably have a little of all. Like if you actually before, yeah, you can pass to the next slide. So now that large language models appear, we actually have this paradigm that we were used to have traditional software with rigid rules. Like we create code, and that code will be executed, could have variables, could have conditions, but was always the same. And the machine learning is not recent. Existed years and years, and allow to have predict things, and this is trained by patterns, by looking to big amounts of data, and then interpret that patterns, and then it can predict the new thing. But the new things that appeared some years ago is this generative AI that use a lot of big amounts of data to be created, and then they can anticipate and they can create things, and they are really good on natural language. And most of you probably know this already, but why I'm reinforcing this, because the fact that they understand our language, it creates a lot of possibilities in terms of software, and even in terms of I even put there, like, opens the door for a personalized experience, because we talk with each other by talking, right? So that is the most natural way of communicating. So now we can talk with systems. So this bring a lot of possibilities. Can you next slide?
Yep.
So as actually I pass a little bit about this. So large language models, they can anticipate text. You can use them to create text. Like now in nowadays, everyone that have lots of meetings probably have AIs joining your meeting. Why? Because they are good understanding language, so they can understand you when you are talking, make the resume, and there are tons of applications appearing. Even this one that we are using to record this system is really a really good case, because this not just record the video and the sound, but then it can create shorts by understanding our language and choose what might be the right piece to create a piece of video to publish in the social media. So it brings, this is really a good example, because, okay, before we needed to manually look to the video and try to understand where is a good piece of content. And now the AI can understand them and can give us suggestions. And this is a good example about how a large language model can understand language and help you creating a software that augments your work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm passing through these kind of AIs to get to the agentic AI, but to make it clear the difference between it. So the large language model, then the retrieval augmented generation. So here we could have, in this case, can have a chatbot that have access to PDFs, for example. So with the example of the holidays, I can ask how many holidays I have per year. And this chat can go through some documentation and say that, okay, yeah, you have 21 or 22 or something days per year. But it cannot know exactly how much years I have available, because the RAG is the RAG have context, but that context is still static. So this is not an agentic system. You ask something like the
Just, yeah.
chatbot. This chatbot answer you already have some knowledge.
It's the dedicated library.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah, then if we there is the concept of tool augmented chatbot, or using tools that I was talking about that actually in the things that I said before in our project. That is when the AI, the brain of the system, they have access to tools. So a part of the knowledge, a part of the RAG that is extra knowledge that it might have access, it now have specific tools that the AI can choose to execute. A very simple example that I was actually talking with Ricardo just before we ask, before we start. If we ask a large language model, a model like an isolated model, what time is it? The model
Has
doesn't
no idea.
know. The model need a tool. If it will be just the AI doesn't know. Of course, if you ask ChatGPT, ChatGPT is already
Already
connected
enabled. Yeah.
to a lot of tools, browsers, etc. But uh, uh, a simple model will not know, so it needs a tool to get that information, uh, and this creates a bunch of much more available opportunities. Actually, the image is like a calculator, like a database, API, authentication. Like it can be a bunch of stuff. In the example that I was showing, the interface is actually tools that I choose to use. Like if I ask when I ask the information about the table, the like the AI understood that I wanted to represent. I was asking something that were nice to be represented in a chart. So AI have a chart as a tool, so it chose to use the charts to display that information. And the MCP service is actually other kind of tool, and is a kind of um, not protocol, but it's like a standard in our days of connecting tools to AI. So basically, the MCP server can do whatever we want to do from the server side, but the AI have context about that MCP server and decide to call it when it think is the right tool for the task. Um, but still, this is still not agentic AI. This is like I ask something, I might have some
Mhm.
context from the RAG, I might choose to execute some tool and give you the answer. And this there is no interactions. That is, I ask, is like a flow, and there is the answer. And
Still very passive. Yeah.
yeah, then the agentic AI and the agentic AI being even more and more and more possibilities is when we we start always with a request or a need, but now the AI needs to be proactive, needs to kind of think, needs to pursue a goal, need to have a goal, and then we'll try to create a plan to execute that goal. And in order to that, basically the AI need to do the things that we were talking before, but need to the first thing to create a plan to understand the goal and think what I need to do to me think in an example. Actually, the browser navigation is a good example. It was appearing even on the side, the thinking. Like I made the question and the it was reasoning and thinking. Okay, I will use the tool browser navigation. Accessing the browser as a tool to read the content. Then I will evaluate the content. Then, depending on the evaluation, he might decide to navigate to some place and will again validate the content and decide if need to navigate again or not, or what needs to do. So that plan is a kind of a plan that can go in loops and can be a plan that change over time because the AI might not be able to achieve the goal. So we'll continue trying and trying and trying until achieve, or might cancel the task.
And
And
that's something, and that's something that resonates with where UI and UX really have a big goal when designing AI tools, because one thing that we've understood and we've read a lot about is trust, right? So one of the biggest hurdles to AI adoption is trust. If this tool is going to replace stuff that I'm doing right now, I need to trust it not to screw me in the process, or to hallucinate, or to go in the right or in the wrong direction, sorry, and all of that. So as we see in all of the agent tools or agentic tools, you can always see, like Nelson was saying, the plan, so the reasoning, and
mhm,
most cases you have a console or a way to open a console to see what the agent is doing. If he's interacting with it, if the agent is interacting with the tool, you can actually see what type of interactions.
mhm,
And for instance, agent platforms like Manoj even allow you to take over. So at any given point in the process, you can actually choose to take over and then do something. And sometimes the tool comes back to you saying, you know what, now it's the time for you to introduce your personal information, take control, and then as soon as you finish, give control back to the agent, and I can continue the operation. But this
mhm,
is where design also provides a great help, and this is why also design needs to be involved in the when we are developing these tools, because and understand how are people open or not to some of these things happening in, as Nelson was mentioning, in the backstage, or do they need to have a way, if they really want to open it in the user interface, a way to see what's happening behind the
mhm.
the stage? Yeah.
Yeah. The next slide have a little more information
Hmm.
about
Yeah.
this, but it's actually as we were talking. So defining the goal, it define a goal, need to reason about that. It will be autonomous, so it will create a plan by itself. Of course, it
Sorry.
might be ask you something in the process if understand that is necessary, but it decide that it choose to execute the tools that are necessary through. and can do that through multiple versions. There is even now the concept of AI agentics. I think it's like this a name. I mean, even make it because we can have multiples of these
Hmm.
together now. Like we can have like this concept that are saying to make some kind of a specific task or specialized in a specific task like agentic AI HR uh, to execute tasks of HR. And then you have a marketing agentic AI that is specialized of doing marketing things. And then you have maybe the uh, founder or CEO agent that could decide which one of them
Yeah,
want to call,
orchestrated. Yeah.
depending on the things that want to be done. Yeah, this is the most complex system here. Uh, yeah, all of this might happen in the background. Like all of this is possible to have just an interface that is a chat, and then you have all of these things behind. So one of the first things that we were saying at the beginning, that the interface might be reducing to be maybe just a chat or something simple. It might it should it is happening, and even the way that interact with the computers and the phones, we believe that is also changing. Like the just this week or last week, Meta released one more version of their Meta Ray-Ban glasses, for example, and it seems that for the first time you can see the interface with the glasses with a way of interaction. So it's a new kind of interacting with systems, and of course, is full of AI for everywhere because a lot of things there need to happen automatically in the background. Uh, and here in the next slide, I just put also this chart to help visualize the difference. So the RAG just react to what we ask. The tool, a part of having access, it can execute tools, and then the agentic AI, it can do that two things. It can reason, can plan, and can be productivity. Um,
So this is just to give you an overview exactly what are the all the steps that we go over in the process. So from understanding the business to all the way to launch AI ready solutions, and sometimes we have to hand over to customer teams, sometimes we have to do the full flow ourselves. It really depends, but one, as you imagine through all the things that we spoke about in the last hour and a half, is that we are really concerned about how to do things iteratively, involving people, and making sure that we understand why we are doing those steps. So and understanding exactly why we are making some choices during the process, but having the right reasoning behind it, having the right context to assess it. Okay, so just to wrap this up, um, as you all can imagine, design thinking is in the base of most of the things that we do, even in terms of the development. Okay, because we like to understand, we like to define then exactly what problem we are trying to solve. We ideate, we prototype, we test. Okay, and this is part of the whole process that we do here as a team. And and that's it. So if you want to know more, if you want to reach out, you have our contacts here. So Nelson and I, we are more than keen to have
mhm.
this conversation. As you can understand, we are as geek as they come when it comes to building products and building processes that help teams to build these things. And we are just
Should
happy to talk with people.
should we just show that example that about the recipes? That is something
I
different
love that. Oh man, yeah, yeah. Please, Nelson, do that. Okay,
that we
I'll stop.
didn't yeah.
Yeah, I'll
Uh,
stop sharing,
yeah,
and then
this
you can show that.
this this give a we showed there three examples, but this one is a little bit different, and I think it's worth uh, to share. Um,
Okay. And I love that I have a second Nelson here, as you can see.
Okay, so why I showed this? Because this example, we can actually also think in this as complex. Here doesn't seem too much complex, but we will see like a task that we need to do in a corporate or in a system. So I want to create a recipe. So how much time the recipe take? What is the like if it's easy or not? If it's for vegetarian, yeah, and then I can start putting in ingredients uh, like yeah, I can put here. I cannot even put the image, but I could and the amount like one banana and how I write sugar. Sugar. Doesn't matter. Like I could put most of the equipment, the grams, 200 grams, and then instructions step by step. Like first add water, then so I could go all over the thing. Um, and here is one of the examples that AI can help, but not thinking, not doing things in the background, not executing things, can help actually feeling interface. This is something that we are really exploring because with this kind of using AI to do this, we can keep interfaces as they are, but then instead of us to feel everything, we can ask AI to help us. Like for example, is even here some examples like create a spicy pasta recipe. So I just want to create a pasta spice dish, and the AI feel everything for me. Or if I create it's still recipe like okay, so just like so all of the steps that I needed to do manually, it can make it for me. Actually, I didn't, and maybe it can change like make this. Let's see, I didn't try this. Um, but I see.
You are planning either lunch or dinner already?
Oh, I put no spicy instead of not spicy.
Nice. Okay.
Okay. I don't know if make a totally different recipe or not. No, I think it keep it. Just change the ingredients. Yeah, so it was just
Non-spicy understood you. So that's the cool bit about some of these tools. Even if you are dyslexic like I am sometimes, they
me
do
also.
understand you.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like a example of something that we can do, and it's really like a technology, but like this is something that the AI here need really to understand. Then this is other example. Like here, the AI doesn't need to understand interface. The AI need to understand the data behind the interface. Basically, by
Yeah.
feeling the data, the interface that can react to the things. But it's really a good example, and we are trying to explore this with some clients because I think this can help improving some current applications, keeping them how they are, but with
Mhm.
the help of AI.
Cool. And I think we have time to, if there's any question from the people that are here, and again, for some technical issue, we don't know exactly how many people we have in attending the call. So
Mm.
if there's any questions, guys, that's now it's the time. We'll wait a little bit. We know how shy people are at the early stages. I'll share again the context for those that didn't see it before. Here you have. So this is us.
Where we see the
Okay.
chats. I was seeing at the
I'm seeing the
beginning, I was
chat.
seeing people talking, but I cannot return to that chat. I don't know why
Yeah.
it is.
Okay. But let's do the following. So if you have any questions regarding the process, the framework, we'll send the PDF with the assessment at the beginning to help you with the diagnose. And we you can see the recording also.
Hmm. Yeah,
And if you
we'll
have any
share it
question,
later
just contact
also.
us. Yeah, just reach out to Nelson and I, and we are more than
Hmm.
happy to get around any questions, sort out any doubts that you have.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
So thank you.
thank you so
And
much for attending.
yeah, and yeah, thank you. See you next one.
Yeah, thank you. See
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye bye.